Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our training call tonight. We are excited that everyone is on the call with us tonight. We are really excited about the things that we have to discuss tonight. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I love to communicate with people. I love to talk to people. So it was the perfect topic to do the call for tonight. What we're going to be talking about is the core fundamentals of communication in network marketing. It's very vital to our business being in network marketing. If we can't communicate with our prospects, with our customers, with our leaders, with our business partners, then we're really not going to be able to grow our business. So it's vitally important that we learn to communicate with our people. Let me go ahead and move this up. All right. The first thing we want to look at is the core three fundamentals of network marketing, and that is effective questioning, listening, and how to paraphrase things or paraphrasing. All three are vitally important. Okay, effective questioning, open-ended questions. People are like, what is the magic formula? Is there a magic formula for talking to people, for asking questions? And I'm going to tell you, this is going to change your life. It's going to be major for you. The key to talking to people and asking questions are open-ended questions. We all know that sometimes we'll ask questions and we get the infamous yes or no. And you're like, okay, well, can you give me a little bit more? Can you expand on that? What are you feeling? Something like that. So the key, the magic formula, is to have open-ended questions. When you're asking effective questions, you're asking open-ended questions. Okay, so I know the next question is going to be, well, what's an open-ended question and how do we use it? All right, open-ended questions. They are questions that allow the person you are speaking with the opportunity to speak about their own thoughts and feelings. This will help you avoid the dreaded yes or no. A lot of times we ask questions and we don't really think about it. And you'll ask a question and they'll just give you a yes or no, but we were hoping for a little more. We were hoping they would tell us exactly how the products were making them feel or what they really think about the opportunity. We want to know their thoughts on it. What about the compensation plan? What do you think about that? So open-ended questions are always going to start with the following words: how, what, why, where, when, who, or which. If you will make sure that you know all those words and you use them in your vocabulary when you're talking to people, it's going to transform your life and it's going to transform your business. I promise you. Okay, I just want to do a few examples of effective questioning. Here we go. Open-ended examples. This is a non-effective way to ask a question. I've been using the Plexus ProBio 5 for 3 months and I love it. Have you heard of it? Okay, so we know if we ask someone this question, they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. And that's really, they're going to be like yes or no. And then you're going to kind of look at them and you're like, oh, you haven't? And then you're going to go into this big blurb about, what the ProBio 5 is. But here's an effective way to say it, okay? You can say, I've been using the Plexus ProBio 5 for 3 months and I love it. What probiotic do you use? Okay, so notice in that question is the word what. It's highlighted in pink right there. So what you're saying is you're already stating the fact about yourself that you love the Plexus ProBio 5 and that you're really enjoying it. And then you put it and you turn the tables to them and you say, what probiotic do you use? Okay, this is what's going to happen. Some people are going to say, well, I use such and such probiotic. And if they say that, then that allows you to lead into talking about our probiotic and, about what we have in our probiotic and how it's different from their probiotic. Or they're going to, when you say, what probiotic do you use? They're going to say, well, I don't use a probiotic. Well, there you go. You just open the door to have an open-ended conversation with them because they don't know, they don't even take a probiotic. So that gives you an even bigger door to step in and say, wow, well, let me tell you about this probiotic. Would you mind if I shared with you about my probiotic that I'm taking? It's really changing my life. And most people, 9 times out of 10, are going to say, yeah, go ahead and tell me about it. Because people inevitably want to be healthy. They don't want to be sick and tired all their life. So I know I didn't. Anybody that would talk about it, I would at least listen and evaluate what they were saying. So anyways, utilize that word what. What probiotic do you use? Then you're asking an open-ended question, and they're going to respond to you with either I don't use a probiotic or I'm using this type of probiotic. Either way, it opens up the conversation for you to have a discussion about probiotics, which is what you want. And then you're able to build some rapport with this customer or this potential person. Okay, here's another example of an open-ended question. This is the non-effective way. I've just started my own Plexus business and I'm really excited about the potential. I'd love to tell you about it. Can I meet with you one day this week so I can show you what I'm doing? Okay, when you say it that way, you're saying, can I meet with you one day this week so I can show you what I'm doing? Most people are going to say, oh, no, or yeah, I guess, let me get back to you. I'm not really sure. So, you're not really opening up for conversation. Here's the effective way to say that. I've just started my own business and I'm really excited about the potential. I'd love to fill you in on what I'm doing. What would be a good time for us to get together for a coffee so I can share it with you? So here, you're doing two things here. You're saying what would be a good time for us to get together for a coffee so I can share it with you. First of all, you're creating rapport with that person, and you're letting them know that not only do I want to share my product with you, but I want to spend time with you one-on-one personally. You're building rapport with that person. You're connecting with that person, which is really important. That's a great way to be effective with your communication with them, is that you're going to show up and you're saying, okay, I just don't want to stand here in the Walmart parking lot and tell you what I'm doing. I value my business so much that I want to sit down with you, have coffee with you, listen to what you have to say, and share it with you so you know how much value I put on it. Not that you don't value your business if you're sharing it with somebody in the Walmart parking lot. I'm not saying that because we do, it is valuable at all points. But when you actually make the effort to take time out of your week to go and meet someone, sit down, have some coffee, have, a snack or something with them, invite them over to your home to share it. You're just building connection and rapport with that person. So always be reminded that you always ask open-ended questions when you're asking people questions. So let's go back and look at that. Those 5 words that you would use to open-end your questions with are how, what, why, where, when, who, and which. Okay, the second part of the fundamentals of communicating and network marketing is listening. It's a two-way street, and everybody knows that. I've been guilty of it before, sitting and talking to somebody about Plexus, or, when I first started, I would start talking to people and I would explain what I was doing, and, oh, you got to get involved in Plexus. It's doing this for me. It's changing my life. What about you? What's going on in your life? And so then they would start talking, and I would just basically check out. I would be thinking about everything I was going to say the next time they shut up, when they quit talking. Okay, this is what I want to bring up. But here was the thing. I was just shooting myself in my foot because I wasn't listening and actually hearing what they were saying to me. It's all about giving and receiving. You have to listen and receive what they're giving you. If they're talking to you, when you can sit down and you have a conversation with someone and they're giving up their time and they're telling you, and you've asked them, what's going on in your life right now? How are you feeling? How have you been? When they start telling you, listen to them, because they're going to tell you what's going on in their life, and also read their emotions, read their facial expressions. You can do a lot with people just by reading their facial expressions about how they feel when they talk about things. Really important. So be present when you're talking to people. It's all about giving and receiving. Show your prospects that you really care about what they have to say. It's really important. Okay, if you really listen to what your prospects have to say, these 4 things are going to, this is the 4 things that's going to make them feel. They're going to feel valued. They're going to feel understood. They're going to feel believed in, and they're going to feel supported. And that's what we want more than anything, is when we are signing up customers and even ambassadors that join our team, we want them to feel valued. We want them to feel like we understand what they're going through, because it's our job as the person, as their rep, that they're buying things from, buying these products from, and as our customers and our ambassadors, it's our job to understand them and to make them feel understood. And we want them to know that we believe in them and that we also support them. When you get a customer, it is your job to follow up with those customers. You don't just let them buy from you and then you never follow up with them. It's your job to make them feel supported. Just like any time in our own lives when we go through something hard or we're going through something new, we love having somebody do it with us, or we love having our family members follow up with us and say, okay, I know you're going through this right now. Tell me about it. I want to know what I can do. How can I be a part of it? What can I do to make your day better? All of those things are just going to add to making your people feel valued, making them feel understood, making them feel believed in, and making them feel supported. Okay, there's 9 things that are really important when you're listening to people. These are core listening behaviors. And when I was studying for this call and putting this all together, I really went through these and I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that, and not even realizing that I was doing it. So it was pretty interesting to me, and so I think it was really important to share with everybody tonight. Okay, because it's not just about listening with your ears, it's about listening with your body as well. Okay, the first one is position. You want to make sure that you're positioning yourself towards the other person. You want to make sure you're not like sitting off to the side and looking, like if you're sitting to the side and they're over here, you don't want your body facing this way. You want your body language should be letting them know that you are interested in the conversation, that you're present in that conversation. Let them know that you are focused and giving them your attention. It's really important. The second one is distance. So we all know there's that 3 feet of personal space. When you're talking to somebody, you don't want to get up in their face like this and say, let me tell you about Plexus. You want to give them some space. Let them adjust, let them listen, let them receive it. If you're really close to someone, it can come off as intimidating to people. You don't ever want to come off as intimidating to potential customers or potential ambassadors. So always make sure that you're giving them a little space, but you don't want to give them so much space that they get the feeling that you're distant and that you're not really into the conversation, or it's not really a priority to you. The third one is physical barriers, and I am so guilty of this one. You don't want to have anything in between you and that person. And I was amazed at this because you don't want to have a table between you and your potential customer. You actually want to be sitting on the same side as them. Or if you're sitting at a square table, one person would be there and then you would be right next to them in the seat, not across from them. And I thought that was really interesting because it creates that barrier, and psychologically, there's a barrier there for them. It's something for them to hide behind, if you will. So if you are try to position yourself, if you meet somebody in a restaurant or if you go to Starbucks or wherever, try to position yourself so that you're more beside them and not across from them, creating that barrier, because a lot of people like to hide behind a barrier, and it makes it a little easier for them, to kind of back off or to shy away from things. Number 4 is sit upright. You want to come across confident and independent with your business. If you go into a meeting and you're sitting there and you're talking to someone and they're talking to you, saying to you what they're interested in about Plexus, or they want you to answer some questions about the compensation plan. If you're sitting there and you're like this, slumped over and looking down and just all slumped over. That doesn't show that you're really interested in what they're having to say. But then if you sit yourself upright and you are talking to them, you are eye to eye with them, you are making contact with them, you are letting them know that you are interested in what they are having to say and that you're not just shutting it off yourself, that you are indeed involved in this conversation and what they have to say. Number 5 is eye contact. A lot of times nowadays, I think a lot of it has to do with being on computers all the time, iPads, iPods, whatever, on our phones. I'm guilty of this myself, even with my own kids and my own husband. It's something I've really had to work at to stop doing. Is that when you are talking to someone, really talk to them, put any type of device down, and make eye contact with them. Look them straight in the eye and say, so that they know you are committed to what they are saying, and listen to them. And that just leads you right into number 6, head nods. When they're talking and you're having a conversation, you want to make sure that you're sitting there and you're listening to them and that you nod your head every once in a while. A lot of times when you're listening to people, you'll just kind of sit there and you just kind of listen, but nod your head, let them know that you're following along with what they're saying and that you're hearing it. The number 7 is lean forward. And this isn't like lean forward all the time into their personal space. This is really more of when you're talking to them and they're talking to you and they're expressing something to you. When you find what they're saying interesting, lean into that just a little bit and just, I am so interested in what you just said. That really made me think about this one particular testimonial that I posted in my group last week, and then you can sit yourself back. But when you talk about it, make your point, that's amazing that you just brought that up because I just posted in my group last week about that. So lean into that. Let them know that you are really interested and that you're hearing what they're saying and that they know that you are involved in that conversation. Facial expressions. I'm great to talk about facial expressions because I have lots of facial expressions when I talk to people and when I do calls. That's really just part of who I am, is having lots of facial expressions. That's just part of me. I hold my face. I do all kinds of things. So that part comes natural to me. Now, I'm not saying when you're talking to them or when they're talking to you, go, "Oh, you're doing great," or "Ee." Don't make weirdo faces. You just want to have a smile or raising your eyebrows lets them know that you are positively listening to them. Smiling is always good. Try not to have the sleepy eye, where you're kind of half in, half out of the conversation. Make sure that you have the wide awake eye, not wide awake eye, but that you're awake and present eye. Okay, and the last one is verbal encouragement, and that's kind of what I was just saying a minute ago about when they say something to you and it brings up something to your memory. Let them finish what they are saying, and then lean into them and say, "I am so glad you said that because that just reminded me of this testimonial that I posted in my group last week. So do you mind if I share that with you?" And then they're going to say, "Yes," or "Would you mind if I share that with you?" Absolutely. And then that opens up the door. You've asked it an open-ended question and you're communicating with them about a testimonial and sharing it with them right there. So anyways, let's go over those real quick again. The core listening behaviors. The first one is position. The second one is distance. Make sure you're not too far away, but make sure you're not right on top of them either. The third is physical barriers. When you're talking to someone, try not to have anything in between you. Try to sit to the side of them or beside them even. Number 4 is sit upright. Make sure that you are sitting proud and that you are excited about talking about your business. Don't slump over and slouch your shoulders. Number 5, eye contact. Make sure you're looking at them throughout your conversation and not looking down and not looking off to so-and-so who's eating a snack right next to you or the baby that's crying over there. And a lot of that, it really does take a little bit of focus to do those things. But the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. Head nods. Make sure you're engaged in the conversation, nodding yes, letting them know that you agree with what they're saying. Lean forward when they say something really interesting and point that out. Let them know that you're interested in it. Number 8 is facial expressions again. have a smile on your face, have a happy eye, not a sleepy eye. And then verbal encouragement. Let them know, thank you for sharing that with me. I'm so glad that you opened up and shared that with me. I really appreciate it. So anyways, those are the core listening behaviors. The next one is paraphrasing. This is the last one. This is paraphrasing. Now, some of us know that there are some people who are just blessed with the gift of gab. They can sit and they can talk for hours to God knows whoever. I know I'm pretty good at talking to people. I can be at Walmart. I can be at Disney World. I could be at the car wash. I could be anywhere, and I can strike up a conversation with the person next to me. And my husband, every time we go out somewhere, he's like, "Do you really have to talk to everyone that we meet?" He's like, "Do you know those people?" No, I just want to carry on a conversation with them. So, but most people are generally pretty easy to talk to if you just make the first step to talk to them. Effective communication is going to do nothing but enhance your flair for conversation. So the things that we've been talking about, all that's going to do is enhance your communication with people. Paraphrasing. This is basically, it is a question that is designed to clarify that the person you're talking to, that they understand you. And what I mean by that is when you're talking to someone and you've told them a little bit about the products, and you could say something at the end like, "So how does that sound to you, Jim? What do you think about that?" And then that way, and then when they tell you how they feel, then you would say, "So what I hear you saying is this." Repeat what they said to you. You want to repeat back to them what they just said to you. That way they know you heard everything that they just said and what they were talking about. That way they know that you are hearing what they are saying, you know what they are thinking, and you're understanding what they are feeling in that situation. Here's a couple of examples. So what you're saying is that this experience made you really happy. Now, that may be something, say you invited someone to an opportunity meeting, a prospect. They came to an opportunity meeting. And at the end of the meeting, you walk up to them and say, "What did you think about this meeting, Mary?" And then she could start talking about it, how she liked the compensation plan and she liked the products, and she really enjoyed the testimonials that people could give. Then that's when you would follow up with, "So what you're saying is that this experience made you really happy," or "So what you're saying is this experience was really good for you." And then that leads them into letting them know that you heard what they said and that they weren't just talking and that it was just going right over your head and that you were just standing there. That way you're paraphrasing back to them what they just said to you. Here's another one. Are you saying you've tried other programs but none of them have worked for you? Now, this is something maybe you would say to a prospect who you've talked to about the Slim, and they may say, "Well, I have tried some of these other weight loss companies, or I've tried some of these other formulas of probiotic, but they just didn't, I just couldn't get them to work for me. It just didn't seem right." That's when you would follow up with, "Are you saying you tried other programs, but none of them have worked for you?" And they're going to say, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying." And so then they know that you heard exactly what they said and that you are relating to what they are saying. And then that opens the door for you to talk a little bit more about what Plexus is and the opportunity that we have. The core three, I want to go back to that one again. This is just, now I'm just going to follow up a little bit. Our core three fundamentals for communicating in network marketing. Questioning. You want to make sure you are asking open-ended questions, right? You want to make sure they're open-ended. The second one is listening. Make sure that you are really listening to your people, listening to what they say. We went over the core values for listening. Make sure you're utilizing all those. Write those down. If you didn't write these down, I can post this tomorrow, and you guys can go through and write all this stuff down so that you have it. And the last one is paraphrasing. Make sure, paraphrasing is amazing when you use it the correct way. it will change your business. It really will. If you can focus on all three of these things and applying them to your prospects, to your current customers, to your business partners, your people who are your level ones, and then also your other ambassadors. All of this can be applied not only to prospects and customers, but also to ambassadors as well. Put it to work, when you're talking to them, and you will see amazing changes in your business. I promise you. These all three really great fundamentals to put to use in your business. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I see we have some Q&A, so I'm going to look at those here just a second. I'm going to see what those are. So let me just make sure. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't see that there are any questions regarding the topics. This was more of a quick call tonight. It was short and sweet and to the point. I didn't think it was anything we had to drag out because I think it was a lot of good information and compacted into a really short call. So anyways, if nobody has any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and end the call. So I'm going to give just a couple of minutes here. If anybody has any questions, they can answer it. They can ask them now. Okay. What if you are shy? Of course, Jana's asking the questions. Now we have Jana on asking questions. What if you're shy? Okay. If you're shy, I think that you're just going to have to, if you utilize those things that we just talked about, put them to use. I gave you examples. I think you're just going to have to step out of your comfort zone just a little bit and talk to people. I mean, you really, part of being in network marketing is talking to people and communicating with people. So I think if you want to push yourself outside of your box and really grow your business, you're going to just have to step out of your box a little bit. I think that's what you're going to have to do. That's my answer for being shy. Let's see. Open-ended questions, not yes, no answerable. I'm not really understanding what that question is on the open-ended questions. Jamie, can you re-ask it or rewrite it? Maybe it's just getting lost in translation. Let's see, Mildred, if you are shy, you can practice in front of the mirror, in front of family members. That's a great point, Mildred. Yes, thank you, Mildred. If you are shy, yeah, absolutely. Use your husband, use your kids, use your family, get your mom to come over, talk to her and say, okay, I want to use this. I want to practice on you. You could actually use everything that on this PowerPoint, you can print it out and practice it and use it with her. Yes, the great points, Mildred. Thank you so much. And yes, you can have conversations about things you feel comfortable with before talking about Plexus. Yeah, you want to build a rapport with people. And that's what I was saying about you want to talk to people and build a rapport with them. Let them know that you're not just wanting to talk to them about Plexus. It's about building a relationship with them as well. And the more that way, you're also getting more comfortable with talking to them and not just about the business side of it. Yes, Jamie, that's correct. You want to ask open-ended questions, which would be questions that are answered with more than just a yes or no. And there will still be people who, when you ask an open-ended question, they will give you a very short answer. And that's just their personality. That's what they're going to do, and that's okay. I would just, and I'm not going to say that this is easy doing open-ended questions. But the more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it's going to be. Just like when we were talking about our products, 2 years ago, I was uncomfortable talking to people about the products, but now I can talk about the products all day. But that is because I've spent time talking to people about it, researching about it, and then over time, it's gotten a lot easier. So just practice it when you talk to people, even if it's, create one open-ended question about Plexus or about that person. and just stick with that same one until you get comfortable with it, and then add another one to it later on once you get comfortable with that one. And then that way you're comfortable with the process. All right, well, I don't think I have any more questions, so that is how we're going to end the call tonight. I sure appreciate everybody being on the call and taking the time. Meetings make you money. I'm just telling you that. When you can get to meetings, all you're doing is growing yourself and giving yourself the tools to grow your business. So I appreciate you all for being on the call. Thank you so much. Anyways, you guys keep shaking it up and keep rocking that Plexus. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to you later.